Hello everybody, this is Dana with the Freedom Please channel and essenceofme.com. Today I am doing the intro because this is another installment of my Yarncrafters chat. In today's episode, I am going to give a couple of short reviews. One for CreativeBug, which is a subscription based as well as an individual crafters I guess tutorial or lesson pool. Okay. The other thing that I'm going to give a review over are the Denise knitting needles and of course chit chat in between. So if you are interested in learning my thoughts on CreativeBug as well as the Denise knitting needles, I would suggest you sticking around, but first hitting pause, grabbing either your yarn and either your hooks or your needles, and just kind of sitting back and enjoying this. It will not be short, but it won't be super long. So stick around and I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back to another edition of the Yarn Crafters Chat. I have to admit, you all kind of fueled what I already love doing, which is talking to you all about crafting without feeling like I'm in a super rush. So this Yarn Crafters video will be a tad bit longer. Now, watch me make it super short because I'm telling you it's long instead of telling you it's short and it ends up being long. Okay? So today I wanted to talk about some things structured and then kind of wiggling conversation in between. I'm going to talk to you all about the Denise knitting needles because I've had some time to use those interchangeable needles. I'm going to tell you some of my pros and cons. I didn't want to do an individual standalone review just because I'm telling you all from the perspective of myself, and also because in the past I've given you some of my opinions on knitting needles, and so I thought I would include these since it is a tad bit different from the others that I shared with you in the I think the videos is called I think it was another yarn crafters video where I talked about needles and hooks. So I will talk about that. I'm also going to tell you a little bit about the CreativeBug. That is a subscription service that I used during my hiatus. It was gifted to me by my sister, and so I'm going to tell you all about that and some of the pros and cons of that, and so yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. To begin, I want to show you all these earrings, and I may have to take them off. Look, these were a gift from a Subbie. I'm going to take them off, and on here, now you know you can't ever, you don't know how to pronounce someone's handle when you need to say it aloud. But her name is Tammy. Let's see, because the lighting is kind of off. It has this little like, you can kind of see it, little, I don't know, little detail here. There, that's a little bit better. And they're hoop. And they have a nice little weight on them too. So thank you, Tammy. This, I think, well, no, because I received something. This is like one of my, well, this is my first gift from a Subbie as far as jewelry is concerned. So thank you. I will wear them out, and I appreciate it. And I will put her channel in the description box. And yeah, go check her out. You know, thank you so much for the gift. I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off with the Denise interchangeable knitting needles. Now, when I came back from my hiatus in the beginning of April, I did a huge haul, and this was one of the things that was in the haul. What took place was for my birthday. Instead of people buying me random stuff that, yes, it was good and heartfelt, I wanted people to be kind of focused. So I created a list of things that I wanted. I wanted some interchangeable needles. I wanted some crafting classes from Joann's. I wanted either crafting classes or the CreativeBug subscription, which I'm going to tell you all about here. And it was just some other things that I wanted. And I was so excited because most of the things that were on that list I was gifted between my husband and my children and my sisters. And so I had a really great time, and that was for my birthday, which was at the beginning of April. So this was one of the things that I purchased, the Denise Interchangeable Knitting Needles. Now, all of you know, well, if you've been with me for a little while, that I am a fairly new knitter. I started knitting at the end of last year. Before that, my exposure to knitting was very low, um, but I learned to knit just a tiny bit to show my son how to cast on and how to kind of knit a swatch, if you want to call it that. And then after that, I didn't do anything else with it, and that was many years ago. Um, I then decided at the end of the year, after finding a crafting book, I found this awesome knit book. Folkshaw knitting book, and it really fueled me to want to start knitting again. So, so of course, as a new knitter, you're trying to figure out, one, what you're doing, and two, what supplies you need. In order to start knitting, I bought this DVD, no, this CD. It's a CD-ROM, and I'm actually going to be giving this away because I found out I got two of them. Long story, anyway. So, and actually, I may open that up at the end of this. I'm going to open that up at the end of this video. That's what we'll do. And my first giveaway, yeah, impromptu. So with that said, I started buying needles, trying to figure out what I was doing. I bought some of the clover bamboo ones. I bought some of the boy aluminum ones. I also had some plastic ones, which came when I went to a class, which were done by Lion Brand. And I knew I needed an interchangeable set because I was starting to go by this set of needles at this size, at this length for a hat, but then I needed a long one to do a shawl. And so I really didn't want to have a whole bunch of stuff everywhere. That was my intent. So along comes the Denise needles. I'm going to hold them up again. That was a long way of describing this. That's why I didn't want to do a standalone review. You all know how I do. If it's too much for you, then just, stop. In here it has from a size 5, which is a 3.75 millimeter, through a 15, which is a 10 millimeter. And it has, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has 6 cords. I'm going to pull one out. Here are the cords. And it has the, I'm sorry, I'm going to come in a little bit. It has the little attachable thing here. And so you have 6 of these at different lengths. I have it down. What I did is, and this is kind of was one of my cons. Anyways, it's 5 cables. I don't want to get into that. 5 cables. You receive 2 of the extenders. I believe that's what these are called, that you can attach and actually, extend and add another cable so the cables can be joined together. And you receive 2 of these. You also receive 4 of these stoppers. And so that's 4 of those. The cable lengths are 5 inches, 9 inches, 12 inches, 14 inches, 16 inches, and 19 inches. The needles are all pretty much the same length, and I don't have a, oh, sorry, I was looking for a ruler. About 4 1/4, or right under, well, actually about 4 1/2. So the needle is about 4 1/2 inches. So by the time you have your 4 1/2 and your 4 1/2, that's about 9. And then you add your cable, I guess that means you can get anywhere from 9 and 19 would be 28 inches if you use the longest cable with just a set of the needles. And you can always use the extenders. And I've actually used the extenders to put together several of the cables. Okay, so that's kind of the basic. I'm going to hold it up once again because I want to show you one of the reasons why I wanted this particular set is because of the case. Here's the case. It closes, and all of the pieces are in here snapped down. Nothing moves about except for I kept this little like a little info thing, and I keep it on the inside because I actually wrote the links of the cables on the card to keep inside. What else logistically? And oh, these are supposed to be airplane safe, so that you can take these on the airplane. They are, as far as the texture concerned, they are a very interesting type of plastic. It doesn't feel like the plastic needles that I've used before, like these, which are the ones made by Lion Brand, but there's some sort of plastic. And so the ease that you, or the grip that you get from a bamboo is not going to be had with this, but it's not as slippery as the aluminum boy needles. Another plus of the needles is that the needle size is etched. I'm sorry, I don't have one of them old nifty extra super cameras, but it's etched in the side of each of the needles, which is great, so you'll know the sizes. As well as on the inside, the needle sizes are marked along the top and the bottom for the actual needles. And I guess what I'll do is show you the ease of connecting them, and then I'll get to my pros and cons. But to me, I felt like the reviews that I saw, that they were so quick, I didn't really know. I was going by, it was a reasonable price. And so anyway, so here we go. Here's the end. Here is the end of the cable, and you actually just stick it in and you twist, and it locks. Pretty cool. There's also a tiny hole here that you can use a bobby, not a bobby pin, a paper clip to put into grit to give you a tighter. And I've had to do that a couple of times with the extender when I was using more than one of the cords. And so let me just do it on both sides. So you would just snap, and you've got them. And it's pretty cool. Now, pros: the travelability, the fact that everything is inside the case at one time. I love the fact that everything kind of has its own place in here, because the thing about looking through patterns or deciding what you want to make is trying to figure out what you have and what you need to purchase in order to make a pattern. And so one of the things that I love is everything is in here all together and easy and ready to go. I did not like the fact that that even though they were very careful about etching out and putting the information on the needles, it was the same was not done for the cords. And I found that to be interesting, because if you are, especially doing a circular set, most patterns will tell you, let's say if you're doing a hat, you need a 16 inch cable. And so it takes me a minute to figure out which size is correct. The good thing is that it's such an easy switch and swap out that it doesn't take long to fix, but still, that's time. And so it would have been cool if the cables would have been either somehow marked or something. And I'm looking just to make sure that I didn't miss it, but I don't see it anywhere. So yeah. Another one of the pros, well, I kind of told you the other pros, which was the case and all of that. So I guess I gotta kind of get to my cons a little bit. A con that I to the needles is that this cord is, do you see how, I hope you can see it, but this area is bigger than this area. See here, that head where it's connecting, it's actually a tad bit bigger than this area. And that's not bad when you are knitting something that the needle is at least it's bigger than this little hump, this connecting point. So for example, I didn't have any issues, I guess, as long as it was a size 8 or bigger, because the needle is larger, so you have no issues. But once you get down to the smaller size needles like this one, this is actually thicker than the needle. So the the ability of it to slide is not as easy, and it actually sometimes it gets caught in here. And so, and especially if you're knitting something that's that small, usually the yarn is a lighter weight yarn. You're probably using either the finger weight or sock yarn or something like that, and that getting caught like that is just not cool. It's just not cool. And at first I thought maybe it was just me, but when I stopped to look at it, I realized what was going on. And you run, when you have that issue, you have the same exact issue with the connector, because once you add the connector on, that hump is still, this is all larger, and then it goes smaller. So then you're working on the smaller space, and if you have to pull it, it's just like a hot mess. I used these ones to try to do for the magic loop, and it was good until I needed to use a little smaller needles, and I didn't really like it, and I still haven't kind of figured out, well, I have a solution, but it just will be not to use this for that. This a smaller set for if I need to use a magic loop method. Another con that I found with these needles is that in the beginning, when I didn't know about using the paper clip to tighten the connector, I lost some of my stitches because I was working, and for some reason it came loose, and so at the bottom of my piece it came undone, and I was like, oh, because I am not comfortable enough with knitting the way that I am with crochet, to where I automatically instinctually know how to fix something or repair something. So when something goes out of whack, I kind of freak out, for a few minutes. And so I did not like that at all. And I almost thought it was something wrong with my connector. But when I think it was one of their videos where they talked about putting it in there to get it tighter grip. And once I did that, that issue was remedied. Was there anything else? All in all, would I purchase this set again? Yes, I would purchase the set again. I think for the number of needles that you receive, it is a good deal. I think it was something like $40 or something like that, $40 or $50. I don't think it was that much. I ordered them from Amazon. Again, it was a gift from my sister. I was planning to buy them anyway, and she knew that, and knew that it was on my list, so she bought it for me. And the price was still cheaper than going to Joann's, which is where I normally shop at for my crafting supplies and my crafting stuff. It was cheaper than the Joann's boy set, which was $70, and at the time there was a coupon for 40% off of a regular price item. So I found that the price was really comparable neck and neck. So I have to say that it must have been $40. So it was a tad bit more than that. And so yes, I've enjoyed having them. That little hiccup with the connector had me nervous for a while, because when you are somebody that has the stuff just resting on your needles, I just wouldn't feel comfortable with doing that with something with the connector until I reestablished kind of my trust in it. So on projects that are like ongoing projects, I actually have them on just a regular set of circular needles that are not interchangeable. And I use my interchangeable ones for pieces that I'm actively working on and that I'm pulling out and removing on a consistent basis, so I will know whether or not I've lost anything with them. But that's what I have for the boy knitting needles. I mean, the Denise interchangeable knitting needles. And because I'm looking at the time, I'm actually going to do this in 2 parts, just so that this will be the end of part 1 on these needles. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, place them in the box, and I'll answer them if I can. Um, Again, this was purchased with, well, it was purchased for me with somebody's money. This was not given to me, and if it was, I would have told you. And I use them all the time, so I would buy them again. Oh, but I do want to say this. If you watched my video about the, choosing and selecting needles for certain projects, I think this is one of those that you have to be mindful of because of the texture of this needle. It is like it's a weird kind of plastic, but it's not slippery. I mean, it's kind of slippery, but it's, I don't know how to describe it. What is something that feels like this? Kind of like, do you know how a plastic spoon feels? Like how a plastic spoon feels, where it almost has a smoothness to it, but on the side of it, or plastic utensils, like on the side of it, I guess to give it a little bit of a grit. And that's probably a bad comparison, but it's about as close as I can think of. And so it's not a slippery like the aluminum, but it's not, I guess, doesn't have a slight grit to it like a bamboo. So it's somewhere in between. And so I've liked using them on just some a regular worsted weight. I've not used them on anything. Well, no, I've used them on wool. I've used them on finger weight. I take that back. I've used them on everything. The only one that I didn't really care for using them with at all was cotton. Mm. I did not like it. I don't know why. I just didn't care for it. And I just have to get over it because I don't use cotton a lot. And so, anyways, it was cotton. I didn't care for it at all. And so, that's it. That's it. I am going to break this up into two because I will not sit here and make you listen to me for 40 minutes. I will put part two either here in the video or in the description box, or both, so that you can go over to the second video where I will talk about my experience with the CreativeBug subscription. I want to call it a crafters lessons subscription service thing. And so, yeah, you can head on over to that if you'd like to interact with me about that or watch that video. Let me know if you have any comments, questions, or concerns. I'd love to know if you have had any, what has been your experience with the Denise interchangeable needles, especially because not too long ago they released an on-the-go set, and I thought that was really cool. But I don't know if it was cool enough for me to buy another set, and so we'll see. So that's it for this video. You can head on over and watch part two, or I will see you all hopefully sooner than later. You can visit me online at essenceofme.com, and I look forward to interacting with you all. And you can head on over to the next video. Talk to you soon. Bye.